Hello, my name is Nicole Zarga and I'll be discussing about computer-aided software engineering tools. So what is computer-aided software engineering? This is a kind of software engineering where the developers use different tools or software to help them in their development cycle. So what part of the development cycle should these tools be used? Actually, in all parts, from the design, prototyping, information repository, program development, and methodology. Our aim is to discuss and give examples of different tools for different parts of software development. Let's start from the design tools. In the past, developers used to draw their designs on paper, but now we can use Microsoft Word and Draw.io. Drawing in paper is hard for doing revisions, compilation, distribution, reproduction, and the space is limited. Now example of this is drawing a huge design on a short sheet of bond paper. How can you do that? Now, using computer-aided tools, this makes revision, compilation, distribution, reproduction, and now the space is unlimited. One example of those tools is this. This is Draw.io. As you can see on the left side, it has different shapes and arrows which could signify an element or an object in a design. Next, let's discuss about prototyping tools. This is used to create prototype of a system. It has three fundamental components: user interface generator, screen generator, and report generator. User interface generator. It is the team in designing and creating user interface. So in the development cycle, user interface is usually approved by the customer. So the development team can send user interface design to the customer. Now the customer can approve, do some revisions, give some comment for those user interface. But by using user interface generator, this is much easier now, as the developer doesn't need to code or create any user interface. Just use the generator, then send it to the customer. One example is mockups. This is mockups.com. As you can see, it has a layout for a specific model of mobile phone and different tools such as keyboard, different buttons, and arrows to go from the transition from different user interface. Now the screen generator. This is the project team in designing and creating screen format. I think this is just the same or almost the same like the user interface generator, where we could design or generate screens for our system. Report generator. Similar to query language but performs formatting output and displaying subtotals. One example of this is Microsoft Excel. Here, given different data, we can now represent this in a visual form, such as a line graph. Now, information repository tools. This is documentation of the data the system is supposed to handle. An example, database schema. Librarian must be able to make several copies for the development team. Failure would result in jeopardy of the development. Example is Git. So what is Git? Git is a kind of software development revision system for different software. So this tracks the different revisions a developer makes for a software. So this could allow us to track or control the different revisions and makes easier for the developers to get the latest version. Now, let's move to program development tools. So it has 4 parts: program structure generators, code generators, program preprocessors, and test data generators. Program structure chart generators. It creates hierarchical graph showing programs comprising the information system and their relationships, interactions, and dependencies. So as you can imagine, one example of this could be the draw.io, where we could create the graph showing those relationships, interaction, dependencies of our information system. Next is code generator. Generates skeletal codes. So actually, this would help us in creating the most basic collection of codes that we can improve or revise for our specific goals. An example is Ruby on Rails scaffold. So what is Ruby on Rails scaffold? So this is a command which a developer can use or execute, and it will generate the skeletal codes for a Ruby on Rails programming language. Now, program preprocessor subjects a program to scrutiny by simulating the program's execution. Identifies potential problems such as bugs, poorly written code, and maintenance problems. Some example is jslint.com and RoboCop. So here is jslint. This is a JavaScript code quality tool. So a developer can copy-paste this code on the first rectangular box, run this tool, and this tool would run the code and identify potential errors, such as the error on the second rectangular box, where at the line 22, character 12, it throws an error. Now, a JavaScript developer can identify which part of his or her code has a problem. Now, let's discuss about test data generator. This helps the program developer perform testing by supplying the needed data. An example is Figure. So what is Figure? Figure is a gem or a tool for a Ruby on Rails program which does this specific job for a test data generator. So it generates data using different parameters for the Ruby on Rails program. Now let's discuss about methodology tools. This is an online facility that makes the project status accessible to everyone in the team. Makes the schedules, deadlines, distribution of work, and other activities related to the development effort. Some examples are Trello, Asana Tasks, and GitHub. These methodology tools helps the developers keep track on their progress and tasks for the development. This is Trello, where different tasks is represented by different rectangles. A member can be assigned for different tasks, and different tasks can be put on different status of the tasks. One example of a status of a task is doing. So this can signify that a member is currently doing the tasks. And another example is completed in March 2015. So this signifies that the task is completed on the set date. Now, let's move to another topic. When application development is no development. How do we know when application development is no development? One is we are unaware of development issues and standards. We fail to put safeguards for errors, perform testing adequately, and buying expensive tools for a small system. You know, in software development world, each organization or a group of programmers put up different coding standards. So when these coding standards are met, future developers can easily understand a past developer's code because he followed specific standards, which will be reviewed by the current programmers, and they can now easily understand the past programmer's code. But not following that could make us or future developers some headaches because he or she cannot understand the code easily, or he or she cannot understand the code at all. Then, when we are testing, sometimes we get tired or get bored in testing. What would be the issue that could arise to that? One is when a user performs an untested method of using the program. What if that untested method caused some errors? So that would cause a necessary fix where time would be used by the developer. But if that developer tested all specific uses of that program, fixing or consuming time for the fix would be saved for other tasks. Now, buying expensive tools for small system. There are a lot of open source software available on the internet. What do you mean by open source? This open source software are usually free for use. So up until we could use open source softwares for a specific system, we should use that until it is not adequate anymore for our system. So that would end my discussion for these topics. I hope you learned a lot from what I've discussed. Now here are my references. Thank you for listening and hope you've learned a lot.